right now, happily, I'm doing a video that's kind of outside the norm on the channel. I mean, sometimes when I do live streams and I'm just randomly talking, just doing a live stream that's like a Q&A, talking about real world events, my past, kind of, things I like outside of the Tyler Perry umbrella. And a common question, believe it or not, in a lot of my live streams by I think like Jamar, Cool Kid. I think some of my younger followers, they notice like in the background of a lot of my live streams, you'll see on the wall like different posters from like Marvel or different anime. And sometimes you might see like the my movie shelf, depending on where I'm recording. And a common question I get is like, yeah, I mean, since Power Rangers is about to have its 25th anniversary on the 28th, which is a day before my birthday, August 29th, what are some of your favorite seasons of Power Rangers? And when I was thinking about Power Rangers, which luckily all the seasons are on Netflix, and I find myself from time to time watching a few episodes from some of my favorite seasons. And then my nephew, he's 8. He loves Power Rangers as well, and he's been watching for years. And I mean, it's kind of crazy when sometimes he'll just spit out episode titles, and I'm like, I didn't even know about episode titles that well when I was a kid, outside of like the 5-parter Green with Evil. Still one of the best story arcs of Power Rangers to date, even though looking back there are a lot of serious flaws with it, but still badass regardless. And before I did like a top 5 or top 10 list about my top favorite Power Rangers series, I wanted to do something different. When I think Power Rangers, aside from nowadays when it's not like it used to be. I mean, most of the fighting, especially during like the Disney era from like SPD all the way to RPM, so many, I believe fans call it callous explosions, where it's like, they'll have this huge explosion and then the character will go flying or fall down, and you'll see the explosion in 3 different angles in slow motion, making episodes and fight scenes pretty damn boring. But when I think Power Rangers, one of my favorite aspects of it was the Battlizers that primarily the Red Rangers would gain throughout a season or series. I mean, there have been mega battles, team power-ups, kind of like the Lights of Orion, SPD swap mode, and then Lightspeed had a mega battle. Quantum Ranger from Time Force had a mega battle, aka one of my favorite top 3 Rangers ever. So I decided to do a top 10 list of my favorite Battlizers, but looking through like a Power Rangers wiki and just going off of memory, looking at the Battleizer list, a lot of the early ones were pretty clunky and not pretty much what's the word I'm looking for? Really made my eyes sore just to look at them, because even though they were powerful, they really didn't look that good. So when I'm doing this list, let me just give you a spoiler. Not a lot of, let me just look at my top 5 list. I think only one Battleizer from the pre-Disney era made on this list. And even though it's not technically a Battleizer, Red Ranger wearing the Green Ranger shield, still one of my favorite power-ups of the series. I mean, I think that's when Tommy lost his powers and he gave the Green Ranger coin and powers to Jason. So sometimes he would call upon the Dragon Zord with the Dragon Flute or Dragon Dagger, and then he would wear the shield in battle. And then I remember in this one episode, I think it was like a season 2 finale, Zach was able to get the shield from Tommy, and that looked pretty badass, even though it was only one scene. But yeah, overall, in maybe a particular order, I definitely know what my number 1 is out of all 5 Battlizers, but I'm going to, I think I have a particular order for this. I definitely have an order. I want to go through my top 5, and again, these are just my personal top 5 Battlizers from the Power Rangers franchise. If you disagree with me, completely fine. Keep in mind, I was born in 91, so I watched like all of the seasons as they were airing. So some of them have more of a sentimental value to me than others. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think when you look at the feats of some of these, I don't even know if I'll judge them by feats, because Power Rangers isn't really consistent when it comes to feats. I mean, when you think about it, Eric from Time Force, the Quantum Ranger, his mega battle defeated a giant mutant one time without the use of the Q-Rex, so that says something in itself. But starting with number 5, speaking of Time Force, Wesley Collins, Red Ranger, the Red Battle Warrior armor, Power Rangers Time Force. I believe this was a Battleizer gained through some time traveling knight. He had to defeat him, and gain the power of the Red Battle Warrior. And one thing really quick before I go any further, Battlizers, I really like it when the Rangers earn them by doing like a huge test or overcoming an obstacle, making the evolution and ascension of their power meaningful. Rather than Power Rangers in Space, when that little girl, Sophie, I think was her name, just hit a button on Andros's morpher, and then that just gave him the Battleizer power. I think Carlos asked him about, I forgot the number it was. Was it 4, 5, 3? I forgot what it was. But he's like, yeah, I've never hit that button, Carlos. And then the girl literally runs up and hits it. Next thing you know, he has huge steroid muscles, a visor, and green wings. I'm not going to lie. The in-space Battleizer has sentimental value to me because one of my earliest memories as a kid was getting that action figure, and I was playing in my grandpa's truck with it. I think this wasn't too long before he passed, but that's one of my main memories of my grandpa. Just sitting in his truck, playing with the Power Rangers in Space Battleizer thing. He said, hey, that's pretty cool, and that sentimental value. But unfortunately, that didn't make the list. But then another thing is, most of the time, Battleizers get destroyed in the final battle with the main villain of the season. Yet, usually in team-up episodes, the Red Ranger and the team has all their powers back and the Battleizer is fixed. I'm not complaining about that, but, usually that's done to show how the main villain is at a new level of power that shouldn't be taken lightly, or the fact that the main villain was like comic relief for most of the series, so the Battleizer was used when the team of Rangers couldn't handle a threat. So even when the team had their power-up mode and that didn't work, when the Red Ranger bust out the Battleizer, 9 times out of 10, that meant the villain of the episode was going to be destroyed. And very rarely has the Battleizer been used to defeat a main villain. I mean, it has happened a couple times, but it hasn't been done a lot. But when it comes to Time Force, I think one of my favorite scenes, and it creeped me out as a kid, was when Rancic destroyed the Red Ranger's Battleizer in Time Force, and then he came out of the smoke, and like his face mask was destroyed, and he saw like his grotesque mutant part of his face with his eyeball and green slime. He was like, scared me to death as a kid. But yeah, Wesley Collins, Time Force, Red Battle Warrior makes number 5 on the list. Then we get to number 4. I think this is I think it's a good number 4. Cole Evans, I believe was his name, Red Wild Force Ranger, the Animarium armor. Kite, one of the worst characters ever used in the Power Rangers franchise. If you've watched Wild Force, you know how I feel about the way they really did the bad art talking about Kite. And I think he was actually animus, talking about pollution and stuff, and literally treated the Rangers like dicks, which was strange because he gave Cole the was it called the Stratocycle? I forgot what it was. No, wait. I know that Wes got a cycle in Time Force. I think that was the Stratocycle. I forgot. Basically, it was a motorcycle for the Red Ranger. Then later on, I know the 4 Rangers got sucked into another dimension, and they had to solve this puzzle, which gave Cole the Falcon Summoner, which one of my favorite weapons, by the way, and then the Animarium armor, and he defeated the corrupt version of Genthrax and Toxica. And it was a pretty good battle armor, to tell the truth. I love the red orb crest on the chest and the wings. And he defeated Master Org in their first battle in the hospital basement. But then in the finale, the final form of Master Org, swiped at one of the wings and broke it. And then the armor was messed up. That kind of sucked. I really loved it. So yeah, number 4 was Wild Force Animarium armor. Then we get to number 3, which is from probably what fans dub, and me too to an extent, the worst season of Power Rangers, Operation Overdrive, the Red Sentinel Ranger. I believe it was Rose the Pink Ranger that created a new weapon, the Sentinel's Sword, and that was eventually used to give the Sentinel Knight humanoid form once again. And it was a weapon so powerful that it couldn't be used by a human, which is kind of ironic because later on we learned that Mac isn't a human. So later on in that episode, him being an android, he was able to utilize the Sentinel's sword in order to become the Red Sentinel Ranger. The only thing I don't like about this Battleizer is the faceplate where the chest piece opens up and you see the Sentinel Knight speaking, and that is really creepy. I feel like Mr. Wynn from Hey Arnold's like, yes, it's very creepy. But other than that, I love the The blade arms, I mean, its final attack is creating, well, yeah, one of my least favorite parts about the Battleizer. The chest plate opens up, and then the Sentinel Knight, like blows like a tornado or something like that, and the opponent gets caught up in it. Then the Red Ranger jumps into the eye of the Cyclone and then slashes away and then defeats the opponent. And then other times the blades create like golden energy slashes that destroy an opponent. Pretty badass. Which also led to the question, okay, so a human cannot utilize the Battleizer because it's so powerful. And Mac is an android, but Tyzon is a crap. Mercurian, I think that was his race. Like, he can change to like a silver liquid or alloy or something like that. So, and yeah, silver because he's a Silver Ranger. So, could he utilize the Battleizer? That would have been interesting. You know, kind of switching out between the Red Ranger and Six Ranger of the team. Either way, very good Battleizer for a very terrible season. Then we get to my number 2, Ninja Storm, the tri-battleized armor used by Shane the Red Ranger. One of my favorite, okay, the Red Ranger has earned the Battleizer kind of thing. I think it was a Shane's Karma, a 2-parter. Very good, very well written 2-parter for the Ninja Storm series. Vexicus, the shark mercenary bounty hunter or whatever, came to Earth. And it turns out that a spider, like a little bug that Shane saved from a spider's web when he was a kid, turned out to be an alien that returned to Shane when he was older in order to bestow him a new power, which was the Battleizer. And I mean, one of my favorite Battleizer scenes was during the finale, Storm Before the Calm. And that was when Lothar and all the other villains of the season, all of his generals, all the foot soldiers, and the monsters of the day returned from the abyss of evil. And Shane, with the Battleizer, faced off against all of the generals. What was it like? Forgive me, I'm probably going to mispronounce the names. Vexicus, Shimatsu, Chubo, Zergane, Motordrone, yeah, all 5 of them. He took them all out by himself. Badass. I loved it. Unfortunately, it was destroyed by Lothar because I really wanted to see a Lothar versus Battleizer fight. I mean, usually during the final battles, like in Time Force and in Wild Force, just to name a couple off the top of my head, the Red Ranger and the Battleizer does face off against the main villain in kind of cool but sometimes very short battles. And then I get it that you have to destroy the Battleizer to raise the stakes to show that the main villain is very powerful. But yeah, I really would have liked it they would have fought to, each other for a little bit of time. But yeah, I just love the bulky appearance of it. It's not too over the top like, let's say, In Space with its steroid like body. But I liked it. I mean, I know it has a flight mode and everything, but I really enjoy the first mode of it. And that's another thing about Battleizers, especially during like the CGI era, if you will. Typically, there is the Battleizer Form 1 that's used for like hand-to-hand combat. Sometimes the Ranger has a weapon. Sometimes it's all about melee attacks and defense. And then there's a mode 2 where the Battleizer unleashes its final attack, which is usually a giant red beam of energy that destroys the opponent, and that mostly sometimes includes like a flight mode and things like that. But yeah, sometimes I like the first form better because that's the one we mainly see a lot more than the second form. Then we get to number 1, and again, in my opinion, the best Battleizer. That doesn't mean it's the most powerful, it's just my favorite. Mystic Force Red Dragon Fire Ranger used by Nick, or Bowen. I feel like this is a cop-out, kind of like how Charizard is arguably the most popular Pokemon because, hey, it's a freaking fire-breathing dragon, even though it isn't a dragon unless it Mega Evolves Charizard X. But who freaking cares? It's a fire-breathing dragon, so it's got to be great. Nick's Battleizer is Fireheart, a fire-breathing dragon. Need I say more? I mean, again, need I say more? I just love the look of this Battleizer. I mean, the fact that it's a freaking dragon. I mean, and also the fact that I think it's one of the sleekest looking Battlizers in the franchise. It's not overly bulky. It kind of just gives Nick like a more of an armor enhancement look. I just love the blue and the red together. I mean, it has like the batons or whatever he has to use to send out energy blasts, strike opponents, and his final attack, I believe, like the wings, I mean, not even in the final attack mode, wings can come out of the back of the Battleizer to allow flight. And he throws the 2 batons like that are energized to destroy the opponent. I think one of those, what's the saying, simplicity works best. I feel like this is the best Battleizer. I do know, like in one of the final battles with the 10 Terras, Itasis, she used like an energy blast from like the bazooka on her arm, and I was able to knock Nick down. But that really showed that despite this Battleizer being sleek and very offensive, it isn't big in the defensive capacity. I could see a lot of the other Battlizers definitely being able to take more hits than Nick can, but at the same time, I just love the way this Battleizer looks. I believe the episode was called The Hunter or The Hunted. It was like the second terror that the Rangers had to face. I mean, hands down, it's my favorite. Maybe it's because it's just a dragon, but at the same time, I loved it. So with that being said, let me just say this much. I had a lot of fun making this video, a very good trip down memory lane. Whether or not you like the Power Rangers, hey, I mean, there are other shows that I didn't like that other kids liked back when I was their age. So now sometimes when I meet up with old friends, it's like, yeah, remember the days of Totally Spies? Like, I remember the show. I didn't really watch it. My sister did. Other friends watched VR Troopers, which I do remember, but Power Rangers still holds a place in my heart as one of my favorite series that I love going back to rewatch from time to time. But in the comment section below, agree to disagree. Are some of the Battlizers I listed some of your favorites? Would you order the Battlizers in a different order? Are there Battlizers that didn't make the list that you wish that did make the list? And did you enjoy the video? I mean, are there other, nostalgia videos you want me to do, like top 5 favorite Pokemon or stuff like that? And like I said before, this would have been a top 10 Battleizer list, but there aren't 10 that I like. I mean, it really comes down to these 5. So thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Share this video around, and I'll talk to you all soon.